Konnichiwa. Eh? 私は日本人ですか? Anyways, hello Philippines and hello world. I am Japes.
And I am Jana.
I am China.
Handa na ba kayong makinig?
Matuto.
At mag-gain ng new knowledge. Let us begin without further ado.
And today, we will discuss about the varieties and registers of spoken and written language. In a multicultural society, people must use cultural appropriate terms, gestures, expressions, and images in any communicative situation.
Ano nga ba ang language varieties? Language varieties refer to the different variants of a language that can be sufficiently determined from one another in terms of social, historical, or geospatial factors. Now, they are also called lex. Language varieties can also be classified into the following categories. At ito ay ang Pidgin, Creole, regional dialect, minority dialect, and indigenized varieties. Isa-isahin natin ang mga ito. Simulan natin sa Pidgin. Now, what is a pigeon? It's certainly not a bird, because a pigeon refers to a new language that develops in these situations where speakers of different languages need to communicate but do not really share a common language. Tignan natin kung ano ang halimbawa nito. So okay, ikaw bili akin, ako bigay discount. Bili! Bili! Halika, bili! Halika! So okay, ikaw bili akin, ako bigay discount. Halika! Now, just as we see in that example, played by another handsome man, pigeon is usually a simplified and often grammatically wrong and low vocabulary type of language. So basically, what pigeon is that it's a variety of a language, whereas you don't really get to speak it natively because you have to learn it and communicate with other people because you don't really share a common language. So, for example, a Chinese person doesn't really know how to speak Tagalog that well, but a Tagalog person doesn't really know how to speak Chinese that well. So, they go in the middle of sorts, you know? Up next is Creole. What is Creole? Well, Creole is believed to arose from Pidgin, developed by adults for use as a second language. Now, because these adults have children, that Pidgin becomes their native language. So basically, the Pidgin Creole life cycle happens, where a Pidgin gets created, and then so an adult creates a Pidgin language, and they have a son or a daughter, and they learn that Pidgin language because they usually hear their parents. So that's basically turns into their native language, which is very, very odd. So an example of this is possibly when Spanish friars and Spanish missionaries communicated with the native Filipino to form some sort of Pidgin Spanish-Filipino hybrid. Then again, we see this example in Zamboanga, which is a home to the Spanish Creole of the Philippines, which is Chavacano, otherwise known as the poor man Spanish, or something poor, vulgar, whatever it's called. I don't really speak Spanish. Yo no hablas español. Oops, I hit my mic. But yo no hablas español. So anyways, this Creole Spanish thing, now known as Chavacano, has been a prominent language in our history and heritage. Other examples are the Gula and the Patwa, which is a Creole in Jamaica, which is actually a former French colony. Jamaican, that is. That is why they have a Creole. So basically, Creole is the mixing of possibly one European language to another native language, or just another language to another language. So it's like a blue clay dough and a red clay dough, and you mix it together and you get violet. Basically, that's it. But it's like you mixed it when you were a child, I guess. That makes sense. And now you have a whole country recognizing it as a language, which is basically Chavacano. Anyways, there's also an example. As I said, there's also an example in Cavite. There's actually a Spanish Creole there, which is, I believe, Caviteño, named Caviteño in the San Roque neighborhood in Cavite City. So that's a fun fact by Japes. Big Man Japes has just given you a fun fact. The third one is regional dialect. Yeah, regional dialect is a language that is not distinct from a national language, but rather a variety of a language spoken in a particular part of the country. Meaning to say, for example, if you're in Cebu, there is a dialect called Cebuano. And in the Tagalog region, there is a dialect called Tagalog. And in the Ilocos region, there is a dialect called Ilocano. And so on and so forth. Even in Bicol, it's called Bicolano. But did you know that, as we previously said, there is Hokkien, right? Now, in certain parts where Chinese immigrants fled the Chinese mainland and landed in our shores, which is usually just NCR, Cebu, and what else? Cebu and Iloilo, and the north part as well. There is a language spoken. There's a dialect spoken by these Chinese people, which is the Philippine Hokkien. I don't really know how to speak Hokkien, but there's a language there. More you know, baby. And then play like the more you know, you know. Migration, I believe. I think they fled in 1900s. Followed the Ming Empire or the Qing Empire, the Qing Empire. I mean. Now for the minority dialect. Now, this is a variety used as a marker of identity, usually alongside a standard variety by the members of a particular minority ethnic group. An example of this is the African American Vernacular English and the London Jamaican variety in Britain. Now, for example, I believe this is a African American Vernacular. Yo, what up, cuh? What you doing, cuh? What up? Like, what's up? Like, holla on me, you know? Like, give me... What's the moolah, you know? What's the moolah? Like, what a curl, like, what you doing, bro? You know? Like, you know what I mean? But I think London Jamaican, I don't know about this one, but I can give you an example of Roadman. It's probably London Jamaican, but I don't remember. But there is a minority dialect spoken by roadmen in Britain, which is basically, for example, a woman is passing by and a roadman sees it. What does the roadman say? Damn, Leng Ting, what you doing looking so fine, bro? You got that big fat bunda on you. What you doing like that? Leng Ting gotta look me. Man them don't even lie right now. That stuff is a big thing, man. Like Leng Ting, you don't even know what I'm talking about. But that Leng Ting, man, got a big fat bunda, bro. I'm not joking with you, man. I'm not joking. I'm not lying with you. I'm not talking to you about Ling Ting, but Ling Ting got the good bunda. You got a good bunda, bro. You know what I mean? Like Ling Ting got a good bunda. I think this is the London Jamaican also. It's probably just named as Roadman. And the last one is indigenous varieties. These are spoken mainly as second languages in former colonies with multilingual populations. A classic example is a Singlish or Singaporean English. Or can we also classify Tagalog as Taglish? Still. So example is Singlish. So for example, I don't want in English is I don't want. And in Singlish, in British, in proper British English, I don't want is basically I don't want. Now a classic example of Singlish is when you say I don't want, I say don't want, don't want, don't want, don't have, don't have, don't want, you know? Or in classical English, British English, it is where is the toilet? Where is the toilet? Where is the lavatory? Where is the lavatory? And in Singlish it's like toilet where? Toilet where la? Toilet where? It's very nice because in Singaporean English, it is it can be described as a lazy language, kind of. It's lazy because they shorten the word and they add like different varieties of their multilingual population, which is actually Singapore is the three groups in Singapore is the Malay, the Tamil, which is Indian ethnicity, I believe, and the Chinese, which is from China, obviously. Thank you for listening. And now, China, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, John Paul. Every day we are always communicating with other people, right? Pwedeng sa kaklase, sa professor, family, friends, doctor. Pwede nga sa stranger, di ba? It is an everyday activity, and when we were communicating, we need to consider the language registers appropriate for the communication situation we're engaged in. So, what is language register? A language register is characterized by the way a speaker uses language differently in different social circumstances. Pwede nating i-distinguish kung anong language register ang ginamit ng speaker sa paraan ng wika na ginamit niya sa isang sitwasyon. These are determined by such factors as social atmosphere. Example, school, tas mga kasamahan mo, faculty staff. Of course, formal language ang gagamitin because language register is also defined as the level of formality with which you speak. Purpose of communication. Kung ang purpose ng pakikipag-communicate mo is to inform or to influence, formal language should be used. Pero kung ang purpose lang naman ng pakikipag-communicate mo is para makidaldal or makichismis, hindi naman na kailangan na formal. Audience and the general context of the discourse. Language registered can be classified into 5: formal, casual, intimate, frozen, and consultative. And these registers depends on your audience, topic, and in the situation you are in. Ano at saan nga ba pwede gamitin ang formal register? These registered are used in professional, academic, or legal settings where communication is expected to be respectful, interrupted, and restrained to specific rules. Slang is never used, and constructions are rare. So, formal register is kadalasan ginagamit sa mga formal settings like meetings, class, and reports. It is also impersonal. There's no involvement of personal feelings. This register uses complete sentences and technical or academic vocabulary. Slangs are never used, tulad ng sus, which means suspicious, no cap, which means not a lie or a truth, and then yung basin na nangangahulugan naman na something is extremely good. It also indicates information or facts to explain an idea to others. Examples are registered use in research paper, government documents, business letters, essay, interviews, and announcement. The second language register is casual. These registers are used in communicating with friends, close acquaintance, colleagues, and family members. Ang casual naman ay kadalasang ginagamit kapag tayo ay nakikipagbiroan or nakikipaglokohan sa mga malapit na kakilala or kaibigan. Ito ay wika sa isang pangkat kung saan kinakailangan nakabilang ka sa grupo upang makakonekta ka sa usapan. And in casual register, using slangs are normal. Karaniwang ginagamit ang casual register sa mga birthday parties, family gatherings, sa team buildings ng isang company, at sa pakikipag-banding or sa pakikipag-usap sa friends. Intimate register is the third type of language registers. Intimate language registers are reserved for special occasions. It is sometimes called as private register since it is a private communication. Intimate register is a language used between persons who share a close relationship. It is personal unlike nung sa formal register na impersonal, and when they use intimate register, hindi na kailangang gumamit ng formal language. Examples are inside joke between two high school friends, sweet nothings whispered to your special someone, and telling secrets. Frozen registers. It refers to historical language that is intended to remain unchanged. It is written or oral acts that never change. It is also called a static register kasi nga bihira or hindi talaga ito binabago or nababago. At dahil nga hindi ito nababago, it includes all grammar or vocabulary. It can be cultural kaya it is usually related to religions or laws. Examples are the registered used in the Philippine Constitution, the Holy Bible, and the national anthem. The last language register is consultative register. It is used in conversations when people are speaking with someone who had special knowledge or is offering advice. Tone is often respectful, such as use the honorifics or courtesy titles. Tulad kapag nagpapakonsult sa doktor, we use doc to address them. As well as sa teachers, kapag may itatanong about something, about sa lesson, gumagamit tayo ng sir or ma'am. But it may be more casual if the relationship between or among the communicators is friendly. Consultative register is also used kapag nagpapakonsult sa experts or specialist in something. Pwede rin itong exchange of information or conversation sa pagitan ng tumutulong at humihingi ng tulong. Examples nga is yung sa local television broadcast or sa conversation with the doctor during medical examination. Language registers can also be classified as formal, informal, and neutral. Formal language registers are appropriate for professional situations, such as when speaking to a supervisor or writing an invitation letter. It is written in a third person point of view. Imagine we're going to talk or greet the president of Bat State to the National Engineering University. Of course, we will use formal language. We will say something formal such as, "It is an honor to meet you, Mr. President." Hindi naman natin pwedeng batiin yung president ng hoy, tulad na kung paano natin batiin yung kaibigan natin. Informal language registers, on the other hand, are conversational and appropriate when speaking or writing to a friend or to someone you know quite well. Formal language register is para lang din casual. Informal writings include bone text and friendly letters, and there is no major rules in informal writing. The use of one or a combination of these registers highly depends on the audience or to the person for whom the message is intended and the context. Using the proper register show respect, interest, and a certain level of professionalism, hence enhancing harmonious personal and professional relationships. These are also used in writing short notes, personal journals, or diaries. Lastly, neutral language registers are non-emotional and laden with facts. These are more appropriate for research or technical writing. It is not necessarily formal or informal. Reviews and articles are included in neutral language register writing. That's all about the language register. Thank you for listening. And now, Jana, the floor is yours.
Alam naman natin ngayon na ang panahon ay napakamoderno and we are very innovative when it comes to technology. And ang nangyayari sa communication ay naging fluid. When we say fluid, it is very dynamic. It changes every day, every instant, and every second. So we need to be flexible and fluid when it comes to communication. Kailangan natin makibagay sa pagbabago ng mundo. Sabi nga ni Heraclitus, the only constant in life is change. Halimbawa na lang dito sa Pilipinas, ang daming nabubuong bagong salita katulad ng charot, eklavu, for the go, for the iyak ang person, at madami pang iba. Meron din namang ang hilig magbaliktad ng salita katulad ng airpods, lodi, and OMSIM. Let me introduce to you on how to improve one's ability in communicating in a multicultural settings. Habang tayo ay tumatanda, ay madami tayo nakaka-interact ng tao. People with different culture, beliefs, and even people with different genders. Ang tanong, do we really need to learn the language of a particular culture? You may learn a new language. Pwede kang mag-Spanish or mag-Konnichiwa, but it does not mean na marunong ka na makipag-communicate sa kanila. Bakit? You cannot learn personal desire, sensitivity, and awareness in an instant. Kaya ngayon, sasabihin ko sa inyo ang specific guidelines that can enhance your ability to handle a situation involving intercultural communication. The first one is refrain from forming expectation based solely on your culture. Huwag tayong mag-expect sa culture ng iba dahil lang meron tayong nakagawian na wala sila or may kakaiba silang ginagawa na hindi natin ginagawa. Matuto tayong tumanggap, rumespeto, at alamin kung bakit nila ginagawa ang mga iyon. The second one is remove personal biases or any stereotypes that may impede understanding. Ang halimbawa nito ngayon ay situation sa political views. Ang daming teachers, students at iba pang mga tao na sobrang apolitical or neutral pero low-key 88M. Kasi ayaw nilang masabihan ng supporter ng pulang magnanakaw or ma-flood sa comment section ng legit sources or mabash or masabihan ng let me educate you. So when it comes to politics, remove your personal biases and learn how to accept a fact. Ang isa pang halimbawa nito ay ang community ng LGBT. Ang dami pang member nito na nakatago pa rin sa closet dahil ng stereotypes. And ayaw nilang ma-judge sila ng mga tao. Lastly, make a personal commitment to develop communication skills appropriate in a multicultural settings. Your ability to develop intercultural communication skills largely depends on how many and how much of these promises you are willing to make.
I will make a commitment to seek information from persons whose cultures are different from my own. I will try to understand how the experiences of persons from different cultures leads them to develop perspectives that differ from mine. I will pay attention to the situation and the context when I communicate with persons from different cultures. I will make every effort to become a more flexible communicator. I will not insist that persons from other cultures should communicate with me on my terms.